Hi everyone, this is Neel Raithatha, also known as the Wax Whisperer. Thank you for joining me in my latest video. I've decided to include a couple of different procedures today for your viewing. This is patient 1 and this is of their right ear, and patient 2 halfway through, that will be of their left ear. And the reason for that, I think it just gives yourselves a good perspective of the differences that we encounter on a day-to-day basis when we perform earwax removal. No procedure is the same. Even the right and left ear of the same patient can differ, and that's what makes earwax removal for me really exciting, because you just never know quite what to expect next, and every procedure, every patient's different. So that's why I really enjoy performing it. So patient 1, this is their right ear, and you can see the earwax is really dark. It's been there for a while. It's oxidized, and I'm just performing microsuction to remove it. They have got a bendy ear canal, but it's not narrow. Therefore, the entrance of the ear canal, I'm able to just dilate and stretch the ear canal just slightly more wider, to allow access of the instrument into the ear. So there's all the suction probe that you can see there. And what I'm trying to do here is just to get a suction grip. So I'm just going to a bit higher up, and I'm just rocking this wax backwards and forwards, bringing it forwards as I am. I have to navigate the bend. So this is the juncture now between the first and second bend. So our ear canals are like an S shape. It's actually called a sigmoid shape. That creates 2 bends. The first bend is about 0.5 centimetre into the ear canal. The second bend is a further 0.5 centimetre. And the bends in the ear canal occur on the outer third of the ear canal, the cartilage portion. And after the second bend, more or less, it's the osseous portion of the ear canal, the bony part of the ear canal. I just use the ear hook just to dissect and break this wax up into smaller pieces. So the patient has got quite a few hairs near the entrance of the ear. That's where the hair follicles are, on the cartilage portion. So the skin that lines the outer third of the ear canal, the cartilage portion, you've got the 3 layers of the skin. You've got the epidermis layer, so the outer layer of skin, the surface facing skin. You've then got the middle layer, which is the dermis, and that's where the hair follicles are found. And then you've got the subcutaneous layer, which is a layer of connective tissue and insulating fat. The inner 2/3 of the ear canal, the osseous bony portion, that only has 1 layer of skin, which is the outer layer of skin, the epidermis layer, made up of epithelial skin cells. And that's why you don't find, or you shouldn't find, any hair strands on the bony part, because there's no dermis, and that's where the hair follicles are normally located. And these hairs, they have various functions. They help to filtrate the incoming air, capturing any dust, dirt, or pollen. The hairs also at the root, the follicles, they're connected to sebaceous glands. So the sebaceous glands are the glands responsible for secreting an oily viscous solution. It's made up of fatty acids, so long chains of saturated and unsaturated fatty acids, alcohols, cholesterol, squalene. These are all the organic compounds that make up sebum. So sebum is the name given to the oily viscous secretion made by the sebaceous glands. We also find these glands on our scalp. So each and every hair strand on our scalp also has connected to it at its root, its follicle, sebaceous gland. And in the dermis layer of the skin, you also find another gland. And these glands are more exclusively located in the ear canal, under our armpits and the inside of our groins. They're called ceruminous glands. And they secrete, again, an oily sweat, but it's less viscous, it's less thick, it's more runny. And the oily sweat secreted by the ceruminous glands and the more viscous oil secretion, fatty secretion secreted by the sebaceous glands, they form alongside exfoliated dead skin cells in the ear and hair to make earwax. So earwax is an amalgamation of dead skin cells, so exfoliated dead skin cells in the ear that have died and shedded, hairs, as you can see, there's a few loose hairs in here. They form the matrix, they form the core of the wax, and then these oily secretions are lacquered over it to form earwax plugs. So we've managed to clear this wax plug. You can see how bendy this patient's ear canal is. We're going in and then to the left, and then to the right again where you see the eardrum. Just at the second bend, there's just a bit of wax on the canal wall. So I'm just using the Jobson horn to delicately move that away. And that's the patient's eardrum. Looks nice and healthy. It's a bit narrower as we enter. So this is patient 2, and this is their left ear. So this patient also has quite a few hairs. I would say significantly more than patient 1. And this patient has a very narrow ear canal entrance. And the earwax is a bit drier. It's matted. You may have seen as we're entering the ear, there's a bit of a scratch mark there. So the patient has been experiencing some psoriasis, some itching of the ear. And they've been scratching the tragal cartilage. So the tragal cartilage is the triangular piece of cartilage just outside of the entrance of our ear canal. So I've immediately gone in with the ear hook. I'm trying to get in and behind this matted wax. This wax is a bit drier, as I said, than the patient 1's right ear. But as we start clearing the entrance of this patient's left ear, more medially, so towards the eardrum, the ear canal does widen. So it is larger the further in we go. It's just the entrance is quite narrow. So I just managed to remove a bit of wax with an ear hook. It was getting softer the further in we were going. And what I'm trying to do here is perform microsuction just to release this plug from the base of the ear canal. There's a few skin adhesions here. So the skin that lines the outer surface of the ear canal, that's a layer of dead skin. And that skin is deprived of all the intracellular fluid, all the blood flow from the dermis, and moisture as well. That's retained by the dermis. So this skin dies. This skin that lines the ear canal originally was at the most inner layer of skin, and the skin undergoes a process called mitosis. So it's cell division. It replicates itself, and the replicated skin cell pushes its parent cell upwards. And there's 5 layers to the epidermis, and the further away the skin is pushed away from the base of the ear canal, of the epidermis, it receives less blood flow, so less nutrients, and it begins to die. And once the intracellular fluid is lost and all the organelles within the cells have died and vanished and decomposed and disappeared, the skin cell fills up with keratin. So keratin is a protein. We also find it on our fingernails and hair strands. And keratin is actually very useful for the ear. It's hydrophobic. It helps to repel water that may enter the ear. It's quite reflective. It helps to reflect harmful UV light rays, sun rays. And as that skin cell finally dies and it sheds, it then begins the process of migrating out of the ear. So if the dead skin cells just collected in the ear, everyone's ears will be full of dead skin every 3 to 10 months on average. So everyone in the world will need to have their dead skin that are shedded removed. So the ear has uniquely evolved over millennia, and these dead skin cells, as they die and they change structure, they begin to migrate. They move sideways out of the ear, just like a conveyor belt. And this migration of the epithelial skin cells starts right from the center of the eardrum. And the best analogy I can give is, imagine you're standing on top of a pond, or a little puddle even, and you have a pebble and you drop that pebble into the center of the pond. Imagine that pond is the eardrum. You have this ripple effect. And imagine the dead skin on the eardrum, because the outermost membrane of the eardrum is also made up of skin. It's the same skin that lines the inner 2/3 of the ear canal. So it's just that outer layer of skin, the epithelial layer. As that skin dies and sheds from the center of the eardrum, it ripples outwards. It migrates outwards like a ripple effect. onto the ear canal, and then it moves and channels across the ear canal from very deep in the ear to the entrance until it eventually expels itself. So the ear, in theory, should be self-cleansing. However, for a small percentage of the population, the skin cells stop migrating, so your ears don't cleanse themselves of the dead skin cells, and that can lead to a plug of dead skin, or also earwax, because the majority of earwax is made up of dead skin. If you do have a little bit of earwax in your ear, then as this skin is dying and shedding, it's also with it expelling the earwax sitting on the surface. So whenever you scratch your ear with a cotton bud, for example, I know sometimes it's easier said than done, and you've got an itch and you can't resist, but by using a cotton bud, you're doing a couple of things. You're damaging that epithelial layer of skin, and therefore damaging that conveyor belt. Where you've scratched the ear and those skin cells have been removed, you've lost that conveyor belt. So the epithelial migration of skin can halt in that specific location. But also this outer layer of skin, it provides a physical barrier against harmful bacteria and fungi from penetrating the deeper layers of skin. So by damaging that outer layer of skin cells, you're losing that protective barrier, and it just makes your ear more susceptible and to be invaded and colonized by harmful bacteria and fungi. So if you do have an itch, there's things that you can do. You can try use some olive oil, medical grade spray, just to help try and relieve that itch. There's also acetic acid ear sprays, which help to calm the ear down. So and do go and see your doctor just in case you have some eczema or psoriasis or some other dry skin condition. So that's patient 2's left ear cleaned. I hope you enjoyed that video, guys. Take care, keep well, speak soon.